The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke.
Glory to you, Lord.
The shepherds went in haste to Bethlehem and found Mary and Joseph, and the infant lying in the manger. When they saw this, they made known the message that had been told them about this child. All who heard it were amazed by what had been told them by the shepherds. And Mary kept all these things, reflecting on them in her heart. Then the shepherds returned, glorifying and praising God for all they had heard and seen, just as it had been told to them. When 8 days were completed for his circumcision, he was named Jesus, the name given him by the angel, before he was conceived in the womb. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
My dear brothers and sisters, again, a very, very blessed New Year, and indeed a Merry Christmas to you all. We celebrate today the octave of Christmas. We Catholics, we fast a lot, but we also party a lot. So Christmas goes a full 8 days. Indeed, it even extends all the way to the baptism of the Lord, though with less intensity than this initial burning of the octave. The octave day, the Solemnity of the Mother of God, used to be called the circumcision of the Lord because, as we recorded in today's Holy Gospel, 8 days after the Lord's birth, he would have been presented in the temple to fulfill the law of the ancient covenant. And Jesus Christ, who became like us in all things but sin, subjected himself to the law so that we might be freed from the law. Since the Second Vatican Council, this feast day has been called Mary, the Mother of God. And we reflect upon the great mystery of the fact that the Blessed Mother is not just the mother of the humanity of Jesus, but she is the mother of Jesus Christ himself, who is one person, eternally begotten of the Father, but with two natures, human and divine, two natures. And yet these two natures exist within one person, a person who was born into this world through the woman, Mary. And so we as believers, since the beginning of the church's life, have not hesitated to call Mary the Mother of God, not just the mother of Jesus. She is the Mother of God. Mysteriously, not the mother of the Father, not the mother of the Spirit, but the Mother of God all the same. And if one finds that difficult to comprehend, you've begun to understand. It is a mystery that God, the Infinite One, should become little and should be held by a woman who also was like us in all things but sin, preserved from the very moment of her conception from that great trauma, that great wound of the garden. She loves us as a mother, as only a mother can. A mother who is fearsome like no other creature in all of the animal kingdom. A mother who is powerful, who is strong, and obedient to the will of God. Just yesterday evening about 5:20 in the afternoon, as I was driving west, Father Johnson had the 5 p.m., I saw a glorious sight, absolutely spectacular. And that was the sunset. At 5:20 in the afternoon, hallelujah, thanks be to God. The sun is coming back later and later. It was beautiful, the sun on fire with pink and red and surrounded by white, absolutely breathtaking. Maybe some of you saw it yourself. And it's a reminder that hope is coming, that we are not condemned to an entire year of the winter, but hope is coming. No matter how long the winter seems, and frankly is, the sun is coming back. The warmth is coming back. This natural sign is a reminder to us of the fundamental hope, the hope that must exist within the Christian's heart. It's very easy to look around and to be very discouraged by facts in the paper, by facts in our church, by failures of those whom we love and admire. by our own brokenness, by our own tendency to sin and to cowardness and to sensuality, very easy to be overcome. And yet, the core message of the gospel is that hope has come. Jesus has come, not for the strong, not for those who've got it all together, but for the weak, for those who recognize their neediness and who cry out to God, I need your salvation now. And he comes now. My brothers and sisters, I remember when I was first ordained. Wasn't really that long ago, come on now. And I remember all kinds of wonderful resolutions. I remember, actually it's funny, not so much the ordination day, that was kind of a blur. I don't know about Deacon Dan, but for me it's funny. I remember going to confession that morning. I remember sitting in my car by the seminary thinking, what am I doing? I remember after the ordination at the reception at St. Mark's Gymnasium, beautiful, wonderful occasion. But it's funny, the ceremony itself is kind of blanked out. I think, emotions were so high, maybe I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. But I do remember my resolutions. I want to be a saint. I want to be a great holy priest. I even asked God in my little spiritual journal, in the moment of fervor, for the grace of martyrdom, if it was God's holy will. Now, I offer all this not to make you say, ooh, wow, listen to Father, but to compare my resolutions with what I am now, okay? I ain't there. Through acts of weakness, acts of cowardice, failures to be the priest or the man I am called to be, moments of anger where I've said things that I regret, moments of callousness where I've been led by selfishness rather than by love. It all reminds me of my need for God. And what is more, it reminds me of the temptation that we all face, all of us, some more than others, but all of us, to give up and to say, you know what, the desire to be holy, that's really nice and good for a 26-year-old kid, but for a 40-year-old man who's lived a little, come on. And we can embrace mediocrity, and we can abandon the ideals of youth and simply walk through life burdened by experience. One of the reasons I think the Lord tells us that we must become like little children if we are to follow him is because children, in my experience, can begin again and again and again. Not always, but often. Going to climb up that mountain of snow, going to fall down, get back up and run back up. It's a beautiful, wondrous thing. That must be our attitude as Christians. Begin again, not because we are strong, because we are not, but because the Lord desires us to be holy, and he inspires these convictions within us and gives us the grace to fulfill them, if only we would accept them. Perhaps you too have resolutions that have fallen a little bit. Me and my spouse are going to pray every day. Every day we're going to pray the rosary. How's that worked out? I'm going to strive every single day to get to Mass every week. Maybe every day too, but every Sunday I'm going to get there. Haven't really quite fulfilled that one. I'm going to strive to teach my godchildren the faith. I'm going to stay in touch with them. Yeah. Brothers and sisters, perhaps today can be a new beginning. It needs to be a new beginning. To strive to remember again. Remember the resolutions of youth. Remember the zeal of youth. Remember the love of your youth. And strive again. And take courage in the great graces of this Christmas season. Ecclesiastes, that very well-known verse that is oftentimes read at funerals, that was made into a kind of catchy tune by the Byrds. To every season, turn, turn, turn. There's a time for this, there's a time for that, there's a time for this, there's a time for that. Frankly, that reading kind of bothers me. because it indicates a kind of life that's simply like a wheel, over and over and over again. Nothing new, nothing hopeful. Everything under the sun's been seen and been done. But it's not the Christian message at all. It might be the message of the old, but not of the new. Not of the child who has his whole life in front of him. Not of the young man filled with zealous dreams to be the husband and father he is called to be. Not of the Christian who has been given a child to hold. Not of the Christian who has as his own mother the mother of God. Brothers and sisters, begin again today. Begin again to strive to be holy, to be zealous, to cling to Jesus, to not accept mediocrity or to be burdened by despair. That's also a grave temptation of the devil. You'll never be able to do it. Never. You are a coward and you are lazy. That's not of God. God calls us to walk behind him, stumbling though we may be. And through it all we have as our source of confidence and strength and new beginnings our Mama Mary, our Blessed Mother, who loves us with the fearsomeness of a mother's heart. I am convinced that these days of Marian celebration are charged with grace like static electricity. It's not just that the air is really dry, it's also that grace is flowing. And our Blessed Mother longs to hear our prayer, the prayer that is nearest and dearest to our heart. It is true, some prayers that we offer, the answer may be no, and it is terrible and awful. But I guarantee you a prayer that will always be heard by God, always be answered by our Blessed Mother. I want to be holy. I want to be a better follower of Jesus. I want to lift up my sufferings for the salvation of the world and of my family. I want to be a hero. I want to be great. These are the prayers that our Blessed Mother will lift up and present to her little Jesus. These are the prayers that will be heard. I promise you, they will be heard and they will be answered if only we make them. So yeah, at 40 years old, not jaded yet. Even now, God can make this crank a saint. Even now. And you too.